What's up guys, it's your boy Ravener and welcome back to another Minecraft building tutorial video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build 3 tree houses, an oak tree house, a spruce tree house and a birch tree house. So please like the video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more stuff like this, and let's get right into it. As you can see, we have got I'm sure that's the biggest tree, or oak tree that is, that you can find in the game. And we're going to be building an oak style treehouse for it. So the blocks in this are majorly dark oak and oak itself. So as you can see, I'm building a circle for the base of this house. So the circle has got a radius of 3 blocks, that includes the centre. So it's a pretty small circle. You could probably get away with doing a 4 maybe, but this is pretty much the perfect size for it really. As you can see in the background, that's an early attempt, but the replay didn't work, so I've had to make it again, unfortunately, but still a pretty nice build to do. So yeah, and now we're making another one. This sort of house was kind of inspired by the Lego Ideas Treehouse. I don't know how many of you are actually Lego fans who watch my Minecraft videos, but I sometimes do Lego videos, and it's sort of inspired by that, the whole circular area idea, which I quite like. It makes it seem sort of ultra modern and very interesting. So yeah, as we can see, we're building up the top bit. The roof is pretty interesting. The way it's built is I basically just go inwards, on the circle, but on the edges, I put a slab on top of it, so it sort of makes it more interesting, more blocky, more diagonal in a way, I guess you could say, which I think is pretty interesting. So we're also adding additional support underneath the actual things, because unfortunately the tree's just too weak and it couldn't hold up the massive size of this absolute house. So yeah, and as you can see, that's a pretty big balcony at the back there, plenty of area to put a barbecue or something, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's not a survival base build, this one really, but obviously these houses could easily be adapted for survival, probably just on their own, to be honest. So yeah, as you can see, we're now putting in the doors. I've mixed in the oak logs, stripped ones, into the walls, as this sort of just makes it stand out a little bit more, and yeah, I quite like it. So yeah, as you can see, I'm now making the base of the tree a little bit bigger, because otherwise it just looks way too weak, and we don't like weak things in Minecraft, unfortunately, except from animals, because we love killing them. So yeah, and now as we zoom out of it, we can see how this looks from the front, and I think it's pretty interesting. So we'll be going into more detail in just a minute about how this build actually looks. So yeah, see you in just a moment. So as you can see, we have now built the oak wood treehouse. So it's got quite a lot of interesting features. So here I have widened the sort of trunk of the tree, the base of it at least, because otherwise it just looks a bit spindly and it doesn't really work very well. Obviously, realistically, you'd want to use wood if you want this to look better. So as you can see of the actual build, we have got the trapdoors acting as a sort of barrier fence gate to stop you from falling off, which you don't want, of course. Obviously the mixture of the walls, so we've got the stripped oak wood with the normal oak wood planks, and obviously for the roof we have got the dark oak wood, which looks pretty good. On the inside we have got oak wood here, which you'd probably want to remove but isn't really necessary. So yeah, obviously a lantern on the ceiling. I've made the ceiling sort of like a full block layer. Obviously you can go up the ladder here, and everything else is the same. Obviously for the windows we've got these dark oak fence gates, which you can obviously open. I don't know why you'd want to. So yeah, As for the actual tree itself, we've added quite a lot of actual leaves to it to make it stand out, like here and on top of this house here. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that house, and now let's go on to the spruce wood treehouse. Okay guys, so now we're making our second treehouse, which is sort of a large spruce wood style. So I kind of got inspired for this one by like the Ewok village in Star Wars, but I'm not really a Star Wars fan, so I'm not entirely sure how it looks like. So yeah, so this also uses circles, but obviously they've got an even like major side on it, which is pretty interesting. So this first one, which is a smaller one, we'll make a big one in a minute, has got a radius of from the centre, not involved with the centre, is about 3. So that's quite a decent size, but we're going to be making a bigger one, as you can see. In the sort of like corners of the base, you can see like dark oak trapdoors, which I've made in that sort of like shape, so it looks cool. And you don't just have a huge gap. That wouldn't really work if you had the fences there. For the roofs, as you can see, I'm just going around with the dark oak wood. It just sort of goes around the edges. Normally it's like 2 blocks deep on the corners and about 1 on the flat faces. So now I'm like going out for sizes. So we've got the dark oak, what are they called? The dark oak fences and I've put another layer of dark oak around it. So now we're doing the spruce wood, as you can see, and that looks pretty cool. So this is like, what is it, 4 or 5 blocks away from the centre. I think it's 4, but I'm not entirely sure. And as you can see, we can just use fences for this one, which looks pretty cool. And now I'm going to be putting some spruce wood on top of the lower roof. This just makes it look more like an actual tree, because that's sort of what we're aiming for, you know, like a Christmas tree, how it gets bigger as it goes down. That's sort of what I was aiming for, and I think it looks pretty cool. But the leaves probably aren't really necessary, but I just thought they were a pretty cool addition. Now we're building up the base of the tree again, just making it a little bit bigger. Looking pretty good, I think. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. As you can see, I've just built it up a bit, made it look a bit more sturdy, as you need quite a lot of power to lift up all of this. And then here we are building a ladder to get up to all the layers, which look pretty good. So yeah, we're reaching the end of this time lapse. This is pretty much all we need to build. I'm just filling in the underneath of the thing, so you can put a lantern on it if you wanted to. So yeah, now we're going to be having a closer look at the actual base. And now we have the spruce wood treehouse. So this obviously uses the large style of spruce wood tree. So as you can see, it's like a 4 wide at the base, pretty tall. I think we could probably have made a taller tree, but this was the first one I got when doing the bone meal, and I think it looks fine like this anyway. So as you can see, we've again made the base bigger, but for the ladder actually on the trunk, I've just put it on the actual 4 wide bit here. So going up the ladder, we first of all get to this layer, which is quite large, as you can see. So it's 4 blocks from the trunk, you go out, and then you just make predictions, so that's 3 diagonal there. And you sort of do that, and then you put the fences, of course, like this, and I think that looks quite good. And of course you go up, and this one is only a 2 wide bit here. Now I've used the trapdoors here, as you couldn't realistically put in a fence gate without it feeling too small. So this is a 1 block space, perfect for something else. So this one isn't really as good for room, but it still looks pretty good. We have also, on the roofs here, we have added the spruce leaves to just make it look a little bit more like this bit up here. Obviously that's kind of unnecessary, you don't really need to do that, and it might even look better without it. So yeah, as you can see, the roof just goes up in slabs, really. For the corner bits, you have to make it too thick. If you look just in there, you can sort of see it a little bit. Yep, so you can see it's like 2 blocks thick there. So yeah, this can also just be used with one of the 2 sizes. I'd recommend this one if you're going for a smaller style of build. But yeah, so that's all good. And now we're going to be hopefully going on to a birch style. This build isn't really much of a tree house, it's just a house with some trees in it. But I think it kind of counts because it still uses the birch wood, and it's pretty interesting, I think. So as you can see, we have put birch wood, a birch tree in each corner. They're like the types with 4 blocks at the base before the actual bottom of the leaves start, and I think it looks pretty interesting. So in the middle, it's sort of like a 5x5 system that's commonly used by quite a lot of YouTubers actually. So it's like a 5x5 square, and then you attach it from like the corners and the sides to another one, and it's sort of always even, and it looks really cool. So we've made some arches on the sides, and now I've made like a super tall even birch tree by putting another birch tree on top of the birch tree. So as you can see, I'm a genius, and yeah. So now we're making the sort of actual building of the thing. This like changes a little bit as I put it's sort of make it a greenhouse a little bit. So the dark oak wood is replaced with white stained glass, and I think that looks pretty cool. Obviously, all of this is made into like a actual building, and yeah. So on the major birch tree in the middle, I put some birch on top of the roof, and I think that looks pretty cool. So right now I am making the interior and replacing the walls with the white stained glass. So nearest, as you can see, nearest the actual log, the 2 blocks, it's solid glass, and then it's a glass pane, which I think that's pretty interesting. Next we have the interior, which I just put a bunch of flowers on tables and turned it into sort of like a greenhouse area, which looks pretty cool, I think. And obviously, there's the door. Now, instead of the fences, which I had there before, I'm going to be putting like grass blocks with like flowers and grass in it to make it sort of look more like, I don't know, like nature-y. I know it's not a word, but I'm not very good at describing things, I guess, now. So yeah, and yeah, I think it looks pretty interesting. This is definitely more like a house for someone who likes to grow things, or maybe just likes flowers. Probably not much of a survival base, but you could put quite a lot of stuff in like the underneath the raised up area, maybe put some glass there, like behind it, and you could have a huge area underneath it. So yeah, as you can see, we are now zooming out. And yeah, so I put some birch leaves under it just to get rid of it for now, but you could easily put like another house underneath it, have like a bunch of space, a huge area. So yeah, now we're going out of this, and it looks pretty cool. So yeah, this is our final one for this episode, but I may make another one depending on the reception of this. So let's go have a closer look at this build. Yeah, so this is kind of basing the boundaries of what a treehouse actually is, but I think it's pretty interesting. So as you can see, it's sort of on a raised platform with all the birch trees in the corners. So these are like 5 by like 5 squares in a way. So obviously, so this goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it sort of carries on from that with another 4 and then another 4 again. So I think it's quite cool. As you can see, we've got these little arches sort of making this bit look a bit more interesting. We got the trapdoors to sort of make it even out a little bit. We've even got the like holes in the middle, and obviously that's the centre birch tree. As you can see, we've also got some birch leaves underneath it to sort of make it look more overgrown, and especially from a distance it looks like there's just birch leaves underneath it, when in reality there's a little gap. Going on inside this area. So on the actual platform, we've got all these lovely flowers going along here in the corners. I had to put the birch log, or otherwise you'd be able to see the dirt. So that's absolutely wonderful. I quite like the vibe of this. It feels very calming and all that. And then inside here is like a little greenhouse. So we've got the white stained glass with the panes around it. So I've made it in this pattern to sort of make it seem less flat and like stand out a little bit. So now inside we've got quite a lot of interesting flowers. So as you can see, we've got the red ones, the purple ones, the blue ones, and I've just sort of spread them all around here. And obviously we've got the birch tree in the centre. So as you can see, you can look out into the sky, or the leaves, I guess, because there isn't really much to look at, unfortunately. So yeah, so what I've done with this is I've just added a bunch of leaves around the birch tree, which kind of just makes it look like it's going all over the roof, which I think looks pretty interesting. So as you can see, the two other ones over there, and now compare them to each other. So as you can see, guys, we now have all of the builds in just one place. So now we are going to be ranking them based on sort of like things about them, how cheap they are, how much space they have. And we're going to see which one out of these three is the best. So the first one is obviously the oak one. So as you can see, it's quite large, it has quite a bit of room in it. You can make it even bigger if you make a custom tree or like put more things on it. Uses pretty cheap resources, so yeah, pretty good. Another negative, however, is that the big trees are quite rare to find. Next, we go on to the spruce tree. So the spruce tree is quite a lot of room again. Is quite cheap, as if you find a biome with spruce in it, then you're literally set. You don't need any more. Quite high up, away from creeper explosions and stuff like that. However, there isn't really much interior area really, it's all outside, and it's quite an awkward shape really. Next we have the Birch Treehouse, I guess you could call it. This is very interesting looking. Definitely something you would want if you want to plant crops. There's a lot of space on here, especially if you go underground in the bit underneath the actual build. However, birch forests not generally particularly good looking, and it uses a lot of birch wood. So yeah, that's basically all of the builds in this video. If you want me to do a part 2 where I maybe build some trees for all the other types in the game, then please let me know. I'll judge on the amount of likes. Thank you guys for 10 subscribers, that's really helpful. Thank you for watching, and bye.